Welcome back after have we been gone for over a month?
It's gotta be a month at least.
At least over a month. Hiatus where we did nothing except not make videos over that span of time. But back to the feeling is mutual. And we brought you a special episode today that I think will be really relatable to a lot of people out there. And that is, you're making a face right now. I think it really will. And that is general shyness, which I think a lot of people suffer from. And I think trying to delineate the difference between shyness and awkwardness, all those things, I think a lot of those tie together, but I also think a lot of it kind of varies from one another based off of, a multitude of things that can affect your personality or your environment, things like that. So, David, you're someone who suffers from shyness quite frequently, so I guess we'll let you join in, just speak a few things. Maybe have like a 12-minute uninterrupted take right here if you think you can do it.
I cannot do that, especially I probably couldn't do that on any topic. But I'm having a brain fart. No, I think
Whisper to me in the middle of you're supposed to like I can hear that.
there are kind of like how you and Brad say there are levels to how much muscle someone has. Like I know you and Brad think I'm just like this like Greek god. I mean,
Totally.
I'm not quite there.
Appreciate it.
No, I think there are levels to shyness because you said it is very common. I think it is common, but I think there are levels to it too. Like I am more, I think, severe. Like how you had a few friends over the other night, and I was one of them, and I was easily the most shy, the most quiet one there. But yeah, anyways, I'll get to my point of this. I'll just say a couple people, and everyone has the right to their own opinion. But I was told that I came off as rude because I did not talk. Now there is a backstory behind that. I don't want to get too much into that, but yeah. So I was quiet. I'm shy. Everyone that knows me knows that. But some people who don't know me think I'm just a fucking weirdo because I don't talk a lot. But you have to look at it from someone else's perspective. Like I think we all have insecurities. I'm sure even Tom Brady has insecurities. But I think some people let them get to them. Some people let their insecurities get to them more than others. Like I do. Like I stutter. I'd say it's not severe, but it's probably moderate severity. Have acne scarring. Probably mild to moderate. Just depends. But yeah. So I really fixate on that stuff, and that's why I am quiet a lot. Because I'm like, oh well, they're probably looking at my face, or I know I won't be able to get this word out, which happens a lot, like a lot of times. But I'm just so I care too much about what other people think sometimes, which I shouldn't. But I think what I
It would really help if you had like a friend that always made fun of you for stuttering, Like every time you couldn't get a word out, he just like
oh no,
threw it right back in your face.
I don't know if that really affects it, but I think I have no problem with my friends like us joking about it. I think that's what kind of makes me unique among my friends. But no, I have no issue with that. But like a lot of people that I ask like about my stuttering and my scarring, they're always like, "Oh, I didn't know you stuttered," or "Oh, I can hardly even notice about your face." But we've had this discussion before. Our insecurities stick out more to us than it would to other people. But yeah, that's my whole take on the shyness, awkwardness. You're not a fucking weirdo if you don't talk a lot, but other people will think you're a fucking weirdo.
Well, that was a nice David summary, and I'll try to break down everything you just said. No, like I think everybody suffers from shyness in their own scenarios. Like I'm somebody who probably would be in the lowest form of that spectrum. I don't think I'm ever usually a shy person, but I think it comes down to character traits and things like that, that, you're kind of just, you develop over time throughout your life based off of all the different circumstances that you go through. Yeah, you would be someone who I would say, suffers from anxiety and things like that kind of hold you back from expressing yourself, which is funny because like I've always made the joke that you want to be the humble, loud guy in a room. You want to dress nice and impress everybody with your wardrobe, things like that. But then, you won't speak to anybody while you're in that room trying to impress everybody with what you're wearing, things like that. So, everyone probably falls in different categories of this. And like you said, yours is driven by your stuttering and acne. And for somebody, it might be their weight and I don't know, the size of their feet. Who knows? It doesn't always have to be physical as to what causes your anxiety and things like that. Sometimes it comes from depression. There's a multitude of things that can cause the shyness. And like you said, like you've often been told many times that you were weird with your shyness because you're the kind of shy that like enters a room of laughter and then everybody feels awkward laughing around you because you're not adding into the jokes that much. And, having personally experienced it, I can see where, people from an outside perspective might view it that way. But realistically, shyness, like we said, it applies to everybody a little bit, and it doesn't make you inferior to be the shy person in a room. I think that there's a lot to be said about somebody who thinks about what they say or do while they're in a group of people and really take time to appreciate the way that people view them in that room, at least with strangers. Like you said, you open up more around people that you know because you're not as worried about judgment. But there are people here the other day that you weren't as familiar with that their judgment could hold more weight for your personal opinion of yourself. So, no, I don't think that it's by any means lost amongst the audience of people that watch this that people, can be shy and it's not weird. It's not always awkward. It might, if you were in a room with just one other person who is also shy, then that might be awkward because you guys wouldn't be able to create conversation. But I think this falls back on one of the things we talked about with, like character traits with people where some people just naturally kind of make those quiet moments feel more buoyant, I guess maybe that's the right way to put it. Like with me in a room, like with you, like I can carry a lot of the conversation like I do on this podcast or this YouTube channel here. Whenever you'll say something extremely generic and then I have to explain it for everybody, I can do that in a room and it kind of balances out our communication with other people or each other better. So I don't think that it's lost among people how this works. You've tried to combat some of your shyness and anxiety over time throughout your life, and maybe being someone who suffers from it, maybe you can give some examples of that, Goggins style.
I'm going to give examples of how I combat shyness.
Like you've mentioned to me before, like you'll avoid saying certain words with your stutter. So, things in that ballpark. Ways that you try to combat it yourself, and then I can try to give like a motivational part to it.
Yeah, since I've been stuttering since I was a little kid, I'll pause. Now, just because I pause doesn't mean I'm combating my stuttering, but it's possible. It's a possibility if I do pause, that's because I'm trying not to stutter. But I'll use different words, like words of the same meaning. But yeah, I think another reason why I'm shy, which I don't think I really talked about on this YouTube channel, is I kind of texted you a quote that you said it was a deep sentence. It was actually a David Goggins quote. I just used my name as everybody loves. He said everybody loved David Goggins, but he didn't love himself. And I think I relate to that because like I don't think anyone like hates me. And I do
Yeah,
think
you could have said.
shit. And like I do think like all my friends do like love and like care about me, but I don't really love myself, especially after the whole breakup. But my face. But yeah, I wasn't happy where I was in life, and that breakup really just exploded in my face. But um, but yeah, so I knew I had to make a change, and I do think I'm definitely headed on the right path, but I'm still not happy with myself. Um, but I think other things to help the situation is going to the gym every day, which I did every day this week. Um, and then just going to work and going to school, even though it's
You
one.
were on vacation this week, so don't tell the audience that you worked. You did not work a single day this week.
No, no, no. I didn't say that I worked this week. I said I worked out this week. But to be fair, people who are on vacation don't usually work out on their vacation. I think that's a fair statement. But
Yeah.
yeah, obviously there was some shit that happened a couple weeks ago. I don't want to get into that, but that kind of also motivated me to get my ass back in the gym because I was starting to be a little quote unquote civilized again after you know who. But I got a lot of stuff going on in my head right now. But um, no,
You want me to save you from ADD?
as of right now though, as I was texting you, like this whole update, um, me and my ex are on good terms. I think you and Zach are the only ones I've told so far because I know people are gonna hate that shit. But I I was this is kind of a rant, not related to the topic, but
Oh no, not at all. That's why I
that's
was
what
like,
I do. I'm sorry, but yeah, I it's been 7 months, whatever it's been, since the breakup, and I have been fueled by that anger of the breakup, and especially what happened 2 weeks ago. But I have learned that it's really only like it. It doesn't make me feel good to hate her like that. And we kind of had a talk earlier today about how I took the blame of like why she had a burger with me, and then she actually she actually seemed uh she actually kind of showed some empathy this time during this conversation, which I thought was that definitely helped me out mentally. But yeah, she admitted what she did a couple weeks ago was wrong and she shouldn't have done it. And yeah, I think it's good not to hold on to hate, and uh, things will eventually things will eventually get better over time.
hot take, hot take. So I'm gonna relate everything you said into something I said earlier, which is shyness can be caused by depression. I think that you might have been someone who also wasn't so shy during middle school and high school. Well, maybe later in high school when you transferred schools, but I mean,
I was still shy.
I think
I was still shy.
okay.
Also being the like new kid and the only Asian in town, pretty much. It was different.
Yeah, you were the only besides your sister and your mom. That's about true.
It's true.
It is true. It is
Uh,
true. It's a very white part of town. Um, it's a good point. I never really thought about that.
I mean, there were others like the Lees, but like
I mean, yeah, there's a
and
few, but I never realized till now. Middle school, you're the only one that I knew in the whole school. But it's related to depression. Depression can cause shyness 'cause I think a lot of people like to get in their own way because they're afraid to take chances and take risks to try to push through shyness to find you know, just where their goals are on the other side. It's like I look at it like kind of like a wall, and you can be juggernaut and run through it, and just pursue through your life, and try to go through your plans and try to make yourself the best version of you can be. Or you could be somebody who cowers to that wall and generally tries to tiptoe around it, or just doesn't go through it ever. And I think that that is something that is found amongst people more or less with either social anxiety or depression, things that naturally you're afraid to confront the adversity itself and refuse to then move on because you just don't want to have to deal with it. And I think this is something that's really more aligned with our generation, the younger generation, is because we kind of coddle kids nowadays and don't make them live in adverse situations where they have to make decisions. And I think this is one of the reasons why our generation is also responsible for a lot more beta males. And like we've talked about before, being a beta male is not an insult. It just, I think historically over time, males have kind of shifted away from some of that social dynamic where they are, the head of a household or just, a group, whatever. And I mean, that doesn't mean that women can't step into the role. Obviously, I don't want to be friggin' attacked because that's supposed to be sexist. It's not meant to be sexist. I'm just making the point that I think, since we're both guys, we can correlate and just relate to the anxieties that guys feel at young ages, like in high school, middle school, where you're starting puberty, your body's evolving and all the things like that. And that's where I think a lot of things get built into is where you're coming from during your adolescence. And then so you get into your young 20s and, you haven't really battled the adversity at all and you haven't tried to pursue long-term goals because you're afraid of the failure. And then that develops the quote unquote shyness and or the depression, social anxieties, things like that, that hold you back from truly, untapping your potential. And I think you are somebody who really, until recently, battled this because I think that you've been kind of, you had a pretty coddled childhood and ultimately you never really pushed yourself that much past that because you thought you were fine. And then you had a wake up call and now you realize that was, that you pretty much had it pretty easy and you weren't really going anywhere. So now you've doubled down on putting in the exact opposite amount of effort, like 10 times the effort you were putting in before. And then now you've seen, the prosper of that where you're starting to at least, show more productivity in your life with the good grades that you have to school and stuff like that. Your body's showing the work that you're putting in with the gym, all that stuff. And then everything else falls in line with that ultimately, as long as you make, responsible decisions, things like that of that nature. Really, this is something like to kind of start wrapping up the topic because so we don't talk in circles. I think that anxiety is something like it's probably the most relatable thing we've really talked about besides breakups because everybody goes through one of some sort. I think everybody has this shyness or anxiety of whatever kind that you have. And we can probably have another episode breaking down multiple types of anxieties themselves instead of just being, predicated on the shyness. But like you mentioned, people have told you that you're weird for it before. It's not something that should be judged. I think it's actually something that should be, if you're a person in a room that's aware of it, you should be more socially conscious to it because like, if I were somebody who didn't know you and I would say that you're shy and weird, well, that might be me totally misinterpreting it and not allowing you to kind of bridge the two. Me being a totally unshy person who's extremely extroverted, I can bridge that gap between somebody like you and we can have genuine conversation and then you'll get out of that shyness and open up true communication. And I'm sure in your lifetime that's something that people have not ultimately done for you because people naturally are somewhat shy to strangers that they just meet.
Well, I mean, everyone doesn't have similar interests, and I've told you this story before. Whenever I used to work at Sam's Club, I was told by one of my coworkers that I don't know how it really went, but he basically said that either I was like a type person that would shoot up the place, and that really fucked my psyche up, and because I've never thought about shooting up the place, but he had that mind that thought in his mind just because I was quiet, and I wasn't super quiet as much as he made it out to be. I just didn't really talk to him because he was like this redneck that I had nothing in common with, and he kind of honestly came off like a piece of shit.
God, when he sees this, he's gonna know who he is. He's gonna bust your ass.
Yeah, yeah, but like just someone like that, like if anyone watched this video and has, which I can't imagine that's happened to a lot of people, but if anyone that does watch this and someone says that to you, like that guy is a piece of shit. Like don't listen to what he says, and just talk to your friends about it, and they're the ones that actually know you. That's why they're your friends. But
Yeah, I mean, not to interrupt you, but like That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like people, we need to build bridges with people that are shy so that they can feel more comfortable in that situation. And that guy literally dismantled it, then shoved half of it up your ass. Really, with the way when you say something like
Well,
that.
the reason why it's so shitty because if the only reason you think I'm going to place is because I'm quiet, that's like what the fuck kind of opinion is that? Just because someone's quiet? Like there are no other like red flags like oh yeah this guy's one. I've never even shot a gun before. I mean to be fair, those people that do that probably don't have much experience with it either. But I do think that there probably is a pattern that people who do shoot up the place are the ones that are bullied. Which there probably needs to be more classes of to not bully people while you're in school. But I also think there needs to be, like, I've seen comments before about how there needs to be a class, like a Goggins class, like to man up, because I feel like it kind of to relate back to what you said earlier. People, a lot of us, a lot of guys in particular, we tend to grow up slower than women. And I'm pretty sure it's scientifically proven that women mature faster than us.
Well, that's not a hot take. Yeah, they're much
Um,
faster.
But yeah, yeah, I think there should be like not necessarily a Goggins class, but like a class for young boys to like really grow up. Because like whenever I was growing up, I'm sure your class were the same way, but they said, oh, you don't need to worry about what you want to do yet, and you kind of I feel like you should because the earlier you get done with college or whatever you want to do, the better because the more money you make and you can get your life together and then sort everything else out. I I thought about the recently. I was like, I think that's total bullshit. Like advice to tell someone, oh, you have time. You're only 20 or whatever. I don't like that um that statement at all.
No, I think you're right. I mean, like that's like we talked about a minute ago. I think that you don't need to throw a shit ton of testosterone in a guy and tell him be a man, to deal with things like this. But I do think that speaking from a man's perspective about men, and I'm sure this applies to women too, is all shyness comes from a real just lack of confidence in some way or another. So, realistically, what it comes down to a lot of times is if you're not confident in a certain situation, then of course you're going to be the one that's shy and have anxiety and, hold your tongue and stuff like that. So, just teaching people to have goals and then the more they reach them, the more that they can be more self-aware of who they are in a room, things like that, and maybe be more outspoken. And we definitely have to nurture that as it happens. Like everybody should have some form of 5-year plan, and you're always living by it every time. And like realistically, every year it passes, you need to add another thing to that 5th year so that your 5-year plan never actually ends, and you're always trying to progress. That's something I don't think just Goggins teach. I think that we could really just teach everybody is that the more success you aim for and the more chances you take, the more adversity you deal with, the less anxiety and shyness you'll feel in these situations where you can actually assert yourself and truly expand to the best version of you, which is what we've talked about. We want to, you need to become your best physical and mental version of yourself, and that's what we're trying to help people out with. And the best way for me to tell somebody, as I used to be someone who, when we were younger, was relatively shy around people I didn't know, now that's gone away over time, is that when you live in adversity, when you live in a, fuck you smiling at?
Is we didn't really meet till what high school?
Well, I knew who you were in middle school, but yeah,
Oh
basically.
yeah, but no, but the reason why I say that because it'd be funny to picture you shy around other people because that's not how you are now. But
Well, I think I was shy around people I didn't know until probably after high school, realistically speaking. Like, I might have been better than some people around people I don't know, but like, I wasn't the guy that could command a room around, like, now, realistically, you put me in a head of corporate bigwigs and I can still hold, true to my personality and my opinions, and I'm not going to care what they think. It's like, I think that you're on your way there too, ultimately, is the best way, like I said, to battle the anxieties, to deal with adversity, is to move forward, to not live in the civilized casually consistent lifestyle patterns that we follow. Where, I mean, if you wake up every day and you want to play video games, you want to work a minimum wage job or, a lower wage job and not really try to push past that point. I mean, if you're happy where you are, you're happy where you are. But like, if you're someone who wants to naturally battle their anxiety without medication, battle shyness without having to go to these extreme measures, medically or like, even, doing like meditation stuff like that. I mean, that's probably a much more effective way to battle it. But I really think that just setting goals in life and trying to not live in these just casual places and just try to battle adversity, try to go into rooms people you don't know and try to just speak out. You don't have to say weird shit. You don't have to make everybody laugh. You don't have to be a comedian. If a conversation happens, you have an opinion, be present, say it. And, people naturally receive outspoken comments, within whatever room you're in. If you're in like a room full of woke people and you start, your opinion is racist jokes, maybe that's not the time to drop those in there. But I mean, ultimately, if you have an opinion and you're in a room of people and you're having a discussion, whatever, like, I don't think that it's the worst thing in the world to just say whatever you're thinking instead of holding it back and not expressing yourself. So, David, I'll give you some final thoughts and then I'm sure you'll randomly say some bullshit to make this episode last about 25 more minutes, and we'll try to wrap this thing up.
My final thoughts. I think I did have something earlier, but I honestly can't think of anything right now. So I might.
Well, that's about the summary of every episode we've ever done.
Usually I do.
Usually you have some kind of like last second irrelevant thing to throw in there. So that's what your rant from earlier should have been at the very end.
Yeah.
That's where you like to usually squeeze them in at. All right. That's perfect then. Okay, then I can just wrap it up and we're good. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning into another episode of The Feeling Is Mutual. We're going to try to get more on a schedule again. Our hiatus that was not caused by anything other than David being lazy is now ended. And
I had some stuff going on in my life where I got civilized for a bit.
Which meant he had even more time than normal to.
But now I'm back being a fucking savage. we need doctors. We need lawyers. We need teachers. We also need fucking savages here. So.
I have like 10 messages on my phone that would let you know that David is not anywhere near a savage right now. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. The feeling is mutual. Like I said, we're gonna get back on a consistent weekly schedule again, and hopefully put out more content. We're gonna try to grow the channel and just try to make everybody the best version of themselves physically and mentally, and just try to help people reach that apex level of their life. So, David, you got anything you want to throw in before you end it?
Nope, that's it.
All right, deuces!
Bye.